Captain Tom Miller stood tall, adjusting his freshly pressed uniform as he and his crew waited in the massive docking bay of Starbase Alpha. This was a historic moment. The first time humans would receive an official ship from the Galactic Council since Earth joined the interstellar community just 3 years ago. "Do you think it will have quantum drives?" asked Jack, the young navigation officer who couldn't stop bouncing on his heels. "I heard it might be a Trellix-class cruiser," said Maria, the weapons specialist. "Those things can outrun light itself." Tom smiled at his crew's excitement. They had all been handpicked, the best Earth had to offer. After years of proving themselves in smaller roles aboard alien vessels, they would finally have their own command. "Whatever it is," Tom said, "we'll make humanity proud." The massive doors at the far end of the hangar slid open with a deep mechanical groan. A delegation of aliens entered, led by Ambassador Brix of the Lyrian species. Brix was tall and thin with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the hangar lights. Like all Lyrians, he had 3 pairs of eyes arranged vertically on his face, and all 6 were currently looking down at the humans with barely hidden smugness. "Captain Miller," Brix said, his translator making his words sound unnaturally flat. "The Galactic Council welcomes you. We are pleased to present Earth with its first official vessel." Tom noticed the pause but kept his face neutral. Behind the delegation, a large sheet covered something. Whatever was underneath seemed oddly shaped, not the sleek lines of a modern vessel. "On behalf of humanity, we're honored to accept," Tom replied formally. Brix made a gesture, and the sheet was pulled away. The humans' excited murmurs died instantly. Before them sat what could only be described as junk. The ship was an old transport vessel, its hull patched in dozens of places with mismatched metal. One of its 4 engine pods was visibly cracked. The name painted on its side, Discarded Hope, was faded and peeling. "This is," Tom started, then caught himself. "This is our ship." "Indeed," said Brix, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "The Discarded Hope has served the Galactic Coalition for over 70 years. It was due to be decommissioned, but we thought it would make a perfect learning opportunity for your species." Jack's face had fallen. Maria's hand was on her sidearm, though Tom doubted she even realized it. A reflexive response to insult. "It's barely spaceworthy," said Mike, the chief engineer, speaking what everyone was thinking. His practiced eye was already cataloging the countless fixes the ship would need. "The life support systems look ancient." "They are functional," Brix replied. "Mostly." Another alien from the delegation, a squat 4-armed being named Gorks, chuckled. "Perhaps humans aren't ready for interstellar travel after all. If this simple vessel is too challenging, we accept with gratitude." Tom interrupted, his voice firm. The crew looked at him with surprise, but he gave them a subtle hand signal. "Trust me." Brix seemed disappointed by the lack of protest. "Very well. This ship is yours. The Council has provided basic supplies and a manual for the more unusual systems. You have 1 Earth month to make it operational and begin your assigned patrols." "1 month," Mike whispered. "We'd need 3 just to." "1 month will be perfect," Tom said loudly. "We look forward to showing what humans can do with this fine vessel." The delegation departed, several of them failing to hide their amusement. As soon as the doors closed, the crew erupted. "Captain, this is an insult," Maria said. "They've given us garbage." "We should go to the human ambassador," suggested Wren, the communications specialist. "File a formal complaint." Tom walked up to the ship and placed his hand on the cold, pitted hull. "No," he said quietly. "That's exactly what they expect." "Sir?" Jack asked. Tom turned to face his crew. In his eyes burned a fierce determination that made even Maria step back. "They think we'll complain. They think we'll beg for something better or give up entirely. That's what they want. Proof that humans don't belong out here." He began walking around the ship, examining it more closely. "Look at this hull," Cerulean metal. Older, yes, but nearly impossible to scan through with standard sensors. And these engine mounts, he pointed to what looked like damage. They're modified Vulcan thrusters, primitive by their standards, but incredibly reliable. Mike stepped forward, his engineer's curiosity overtaking his disappointment. The power core looks intact, actually. Old design, but if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the marathon cores. Not fast to charge, but nearly unlimited endurance. Tom smiled. Exactly. They didn't give us a fancy ship. They gave us a foundation. But sir, Maria protested, even if we get it running, we'll be laughed at everywhere we go. Good, Tom replied. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate us. Throughout human history, our greatest achievements have come when others thought we would fail. He gathered his crew in a circle, their faces still showing doubt, but now mixed with curiosity. They gave us scrap because they don't respect us. But they've forgotten something important about humans. We've always been at our best when working with scrap. We built our first planes from bicycle parts, our first satellites from leftover war technology. Tom's voice grew stronger, and one by one, his crew stood straighter. We won't just make this ship functional. We'll make it ours. We'll make it human. And one day, the Galactic Council will look at what we've done with their cast-offs and wonder what they've unleashed. Jack was the first to grin. So where do we start, Captain? Tom turned to the ship, his eyes gleaming with purpose. Mike, get a team and start assessing that power core. Maria, I want you to think about defensive options, creative ones. Ren, download everything you can about this model, official and unofficial. Jack, help me plot out the internal spaces. I want to see what we're working with. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Tom stood a moment longer, looking at the battered vessel. The name Discarded Hope seemed to mock them. We should rename her, he murmured to himself. Something fitting. He thought of the old naval traditions from Earth's history, of ships beating the odds, of underdogs rising to greatness. Phoenix, he decided. From Earth mythology, the bird that rises from ashes. He placed his hand again on the hull, feeling the cold metal, imagining what it could become. They gave us scrap, he whispered. We'll show them what humans can build from ashes. Behind him, his crew was already at work, the sound of tools and voices filling the hangar with purpose. The first step of their journey had begun, and despite everything, Tom felt a surge of excitement. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. 3 days after receiving the Discarded Hope, the hangar bay looked like a war zone. Ship parts were scattered everywhere, panels removed from walls, and the constant sound of welding and hammering filled the air. In the middle of it all stood Mike, covered in grease up to his elbows, staring at the ship's power core with a mixture of frustration and amazement. Captain, you need to see this, he called out as Tom walked by with a tablet full of reports. Tom ducked under a hanging cable and joined his chief engineer. What am I looking at, Mike? Mike pointed to the cylindrical power core that took up a large part of the engine room. This isn't junk. This is a Helion-5 core. They stopped making these 30 years ago, but not because they were bad. Then why? Because they're too good. Mike wiped his hands on a rag. These cores are nearly indestructible. They can run for decades without maintenance, but they have one problem. They're inefficient by modern standards. Tom raised an eyebrow. How inefficient? They use about 30% more fuel than newer models. So the big companies stopped making them to sell their fancy new cores that need replacing every 5 years. Mike grinned. But if someone were to fix the efficiency problem, could you do it? Tom asked. Mike tapped the core with his knuckle. Already started. I'm reconfiguring the power distribution system. With some human ingenuity, I think we can make this old core run better than anything in the Council's fleet. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. That's what I like to hear. On the other side of the ship, Maria had turned the cargo bay into a makeshift workshop. She was examining what looked like a large cargo door. "What's all this?" Tom asked, stepping around various tools and parts. Maria looked up from her work. Their idea of a shield generator was pathetic. "So I'm making the new one. Out of cargo doors." "These aren't ordinary doors, Captain. They're made of tri-steel with reflective coating. The aliens used them for radiation protection during long hauls, but with some modifications." She flipped a switch, and the door panel began to hum with energy. "They can deflect energy weapons too." Tom watched as she fired a small test laser at the panel. The beam bounced off harmlessly. "It won't stop a direct hit from a military vessel," Maria admitted, "but it'll give us some protection. And the best part, our shield signature will read as cargo bay doors on most scans." Tom smiled. "Hiding in plain sight. I like it." In what would become the bridge, Jack and Wren were installing old-style manual control systems alongside the ship's original computer interfaces. "Why are you adding physical controls?" Tom asked. "Aren't neural interfaces faster?" Jack looked up from under the console. "Faster, yes, but also easier to hack or disrupt. These physical controls are from Earth's old space program. Simple, reliable, and completely unfamiliar to most alien tech experts." Wren added, "We're also installing a backup navigation system based on star tracking, like ancient sailors used. If all our fancy tech fails, we can still find our way home." Day by day, the ship transformed. What had started as an insult was becoming something unique. Neither human nor alien, but a hybrid that combined the best of both worlds. On the 10th day, Ambassador Briggs returned with several council observers. They walked through the ship with poorly concealed disdain. "You've made changes," Briggs noted, watching a crew member install what looked like an Earth kitchen appliance into a control panel. "Improvements," Tom corrected. "We're adapting the ship to our needs." One of the observers, a tall insectoid being, chittered something that the translator rendered as, "Are those physical buttons? How primitive." Mike, who was passing by with a toolbox, smiled politely. "Sometimes primitive is reliable, and reliability matters when you're floating in space." Brick stopped at what had once been a storage closet. Now it contained plants, actual earth plants growing in containers. "What is this?" he asked, all 6 eyes blinking rapidly. "Supplemental life support," answered Dr. Lee, the ship's medical officer. "These plants clean our air and provide fresh food. They also help with crew morale." "Plants on a starship," another observer laughed. "Inefficient and unnecessary." Dr. Lee just smiled. "We find them quite necessary." As the tour continued, Briggs became increasingly agitated. "Captain Miller, these modifications may violate council regulations. That power core configuration has not been approved. Those shield emplacements are not standard. This, whatever this is," he pointed to a device cobbled together from spare parts. "Water recycler," Tom explained. 98% efficiency. "The point is," Briggs continued, "the council expected you to learn how to operate a standard vessel, not rebuild it according to human whims." Tom stopped walking and faced the ambassador directly. "With all respect, Ambassador, you gave us a decommissioned vessel that barely functioned. We're making it work. Isn't that the point?" "The point was to see if humans could adapt to galactic standards," Briggs replied coldly. "And we are adapting them to work better." Tom gestured around. "Everything we've done improves this ship's functionality while maintaining compatibility with council systems." The delegation left shortly after, clearly unhappy with what they'd seen. As the hangar doors closed behind them, the crew gathered around Tom. "They're going to try to stop us, aren't they?" Maria asked. Tom nodded. "They'll probably add more inspections and requirements. But we'll keep working." "We've only got 20 more days until our deadline," Mike reminded him. "Then we work faster," Tom replied. "Double shifts. I want this ship ready to fly in 15 days, not 30. As the crew dispersed to their tasks with renewed purpose, Tom walked to the front of the ship. The old name had been removed, and a crew member was carefully painting the new one. Phoenix. They think we're just making a mess, Tom said to no one in particular. They don't understand that this is what humans do best. We take pieces that don't fit together and make something new. He touched the freshly painted name, careful not to smudge it. We're not just rebuilding a ship, he whispered. We're making history. Behind him, the sounds of construction continued late into the night. The Phoenix was taking shape, piece by mismatched piece, becoming something the Galactic Council never intended. A ship with a human heart. The Phoenix cut through space on its first official patrol, 3 days ahead of the Council's deadline. From the outside, it still looked like a patched-together transport vessel, its hull a mismatched collection of metals and components. But inside, it hummed with efficiency and purpose. Captain Tom sat in the command chair on the bridge, watching his crew work with pride. They had done the impossible. Turned scrap into a functioning starship with capabilities no one would suspect. "Status report," he called out. "All systems running smoothly, Captain," reported Mike from the engineering station. "Power core operating at 110% of standard capacity. Shield doors ready on standby," Maria added from tactical. "Weapons systems, well, what we're calling weapons systems, are online." Tom smiled at that. They had no official weapons, the Council hadn't authorized any. But Maria had repurposed mining equipment, waste disposal units, and even the ship's old cargo magnetizers into something that could, in a pinch, serve as defense. "We're approaching Sector 7, Jack announced from navigation. "Standard patrol route as assigned." Sector 7 was quiet space, a trading route far from any important Council worlds. It was busy enough with merchant traffic, but considered safe and routine. Perfect for a test run of humanity's first official ship. "Captain," Wren called from communications, "I'm picking up a distress signal. Merchant vessel, about half a light year from our position." Tom straightened in his chair. "Details." "They're reporting an attack. Pirates, by the sound of it." Wren adjusted her equipment. "Council protocol says we should report it and wait for an authorized military vessel." The bridge fell silent as all eyes turned to Tom. They knew what Council protocol said. They also knew what humanity would do. How long would it take an authorized military vessel to reach them? Tom asked. Jack checked his instruments. "Nearest patrol is 3 hours away at maximum speed." "And how long would it take us?" 20 minutes, sir." Tom nodded, his decision made. "Set course for that merchant vessel, maximum speed. Maria, prepare your non-weapons." Wren, inform the Council of our response." "Sir," Maria said carefully, "if we engage pirates, we'll be violating at least 3 Council regulations." "Then we better not get caught," Tom replied with a grim smile. "Or better yet, we better succeed." The Phoenix changed course, its engines pushing harder than any standard Council vessel of its class should be able to. Mike had worked wonders with the old power core, channeling its energy through human-designed systems that squeezed every drop of power from it. "Coming up on the coordinates," Jack announced 15 minutes later. "Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The view screen showed chaos. A bulky merchant ship was listing badly, its engines dark. Circling it were 3 sleek, predatory vessels. Pirate ships known for hitting easy targets and disappearing before Council forces could respond. They'd already disabled the merchant's engines, Maria reported. Life support still functioning, but they're cutting into the cargo hold. "Wren, open a channel," Tom ordered. When she nodded, he spoke clearly. "Attention, pirate vessels. This is Captain Tom Miller of the Earth ship Phoenix. Cease your attack and withdraw immediately." A harsh laugh came over the comms. "Earth ship, the new pets of the Council." The pirate's voice was translated through a basic system, the words choppy. "Go away, little humans. This is not your business." "I'm making it our business," Tom replied calmly. "Last warning." The pirate didn't bother to respond. Instead, one of the ships broke off from the merchant vessel and turned toward the Phoenix, weapons charging. "They're targeting us," Maria announced, tension in her voice. "Energy weapons powering up." "Shield doors," Tom ordered. Maria activated her makeshift defense system. The cargo bay doors, now charged with energy-deflecting fields, deployed strategically around the ship's vulnerable areas. From the outside, it looked like the Phoenix was simply opening some compartments. Nothing threatening. The pirate ship fired, confident in an easy kill. The energy beam struck one of the shield doors and scattered. Most of its force dissipated harmlessly into space. "Minimal damage," Mike reported, surprise in his voice. "Maria, your shield doors actually worked." "Don't sound so shocked," she replied, grinning. The pirate fired again, a more powerful shot. This time, the shield door absorbed most of the impact, but began to overheat. "We can't take too many of those," Maria warned. Tom nodded. "Then let's not give them the chance." "Mike, vent atmosphere from port side chambers. Control bursts." "Sir?" Mike questioned, then understanding dawned. "Oh, yes, sir." Mike activated the emergency venting system that humans had installed. Carefully calculated bursts of air shot from the Phoenix's side, the force pushing the ship into a spin that no proper council vessel would ever perform. The pirate's next shot missed entirely, its targeting computers unable to predict the unorthodox movement. "Now, Maria," Tom ordered as they spun toward the pirate ship. "Show them our mining equipment." Maria activated what had once been a standard mining laser, used for breaking down asteroids. The humans had modified it, focusing its beam to a much narrower point. It wasn't designed as a weapon, officially, but when the beam struck the pirate ship's engine housing, it cut through the metal like it was paper. The pirate ship lurched, its engines failing. The other two pirates, seeing their companion disabled, broke off their attack on the merchant vessel and moved to engage the Phoenix. "They're coordinating," Maria warned, "coming at us from both sides." "Perfect," Tom said, surprising his crew. "Jack, full stop. Mike, prepare for full emergency vent, all chambers." "Sir, that'll drain our atmosphere reserves," Mike cautioned. "We'll refill them." "On my mark. Now." The Phoenix suddenly vented atmosphere from all sides at once, creating a pressurized bubble that rippled outward. The pirate ships, closing in fast, flew right into it. Their sleek designs, built for speed and predatory attacks, were thrown off course by the unexpected space disturbance. "Maria, cargo magnetizers, full power." Maria activated the modified cargo systems. Originally designed to help load heavy metal containers, the humans had turned them into powerful magnetic projectors. The beams locked onto the metal hulls of the pirate ships, pulling them toward each other. Before they could compensate, the two vessels collided with a silent crash that sent debris floating across the view screen. All three pirate ships disabled, Maria reported, her voice filled with disbelief at their own success. Tom stood up from his chair. "Ren, contact the merchant vessel. See if they need medical assistance. Then inform the council that we've responded to a distress call and require cleanup of 3 disabled pirate ships." As the crew carried out his orders, a sense of stunned silence filled the bridge, soon replaced by growing excitement. "We did it," Jack said quietly. "We actually did it." Tom nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Yes, we did. And with a ship made of scrap." 3 hours later, when the council military vessels finally arrived, they found the Phoenix helping repair the merchant ship's engines. The pirates were contained, their ships disabled but intact for evidence. The council commander, a stern reptilian being, was clearly confused by what he found. "You engaged 3 pirate vessels. With that?" he asked Tom, pointing at the Phoenix with one clawed hand. "We responded to a distress call," Tom answered simply, "as any council vessel should." The commander studied the mismatched ship and its human crew with new eyes. "The council will want a full report on how this happened. Of course, Tom said. Though I should warn you, some of our methods might be considered unconventional. As the military vessels took charge of the pirates and the Phoenix prepared to continue its patrol, Tom gathered his crew on the bridge. Today, we showed the galaxy something important, he told them quietly. Not that humans can fight. Any species can fight. We showed them that we can think differently, see solutions where others see only junk. He looked around at their proud faces. They gave us scrap. We made it fly. They'll remember that. What none of them knew was how quickly word would spread through the merchant lanes and trading posts. Stories of the odd human ship that fought like no other vessel in the galaxy. The story of the Phoenix had just begun. 2 months after the pirate incident, the Phoenix had developed quite a reputation. What started as whispers among merchant crews had grown into stories told in spaceports across 3 sectors. Some tales were exaggerated. No, the ship couldn't turn invisible, and it definitely couldn't split into 2 separate vessels. But the core truth remained. The human scrap ship was surprisingly effective. The Council, of course, was less impressed. Captain Tom had been called to explain his reckless actions 3 separate times. Each time, he patiently pointed out that he had simply responded to a distress call, as any responsible Council vessel should. They can't decide if they should punish us or study us, Tom told his crew one evening as they gathered in what they now called the garden, the expanded plant room that had become their unofficial meeting space. Mike laughed. They sent 2 engineers last week to inspect our power core modifications. They spent 3 hours taking notes. And that military attaché who wanted to see our weapons systems, Maria added. His face when I showed him our modified mining equipment was priceless. The crew's laughter was interrupted by Wren's voice over the ship's comm. Captain to the bridge. Priority message coming in from Council Command. Tom exchanged glances with his officers. Duty calls. When they reached the bridge, Wren was at her station, her expression serious. It's a general broadcast to all vessels, sir, but it's coded urgent. On screen, Tom ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a stern-faced Council admiral, a thorn species, with ridged skin and sharp features. Attention all Council vessels. This is Admiral Cord with an emergency directive. The Drachner Collective has launched a surprise attack on the Centauri trade route. All available ships are ordered to report to Sector 12 to form a defense line. The crew exchanged shocked glances. The Drachner were a secretive species from the Outer Rim, known for their advanced technology and isolationist policies. They weren't officially enemies of the Council, but relations had always been tense. The Drachner fleet consists of approximately 30 vessels of unknown configuration, the Admiral continued. They have already disabled 3 Council outposts and have established a blockade preventing supply ships from reaching the outer colonies. This is a Level 1 emergency. All available ships report to these coordinates. Admiral Corvout. The message ended, replaced by a set of coordinates flashing on the screen. The Centauri trade route, Jack said quietly. That's the main supply line to 17 colonies. Tom nodded, his expression grim. Wren, acknowledge the order and inform Council Command we're en route. Jack, set course for those coordinates, maximum speed. Sir, Maria spoke up. We're not a warship. We'll be facing actual military vessels. We're a Council ship responding to a Council emergency, Tom replied firmly. Just like with the pirates, but on a larger scale. The pirates were one thing, Mike said. But the Drachner, they're supposed to be decades ahead of everyone technologically. Tom stood up, looking at each crew member in turn. Then they won't be expecting what we bring to the fight. We've spent 2 months improving this ship, adding systems no one else has thought of combining. We might not be the strongest ship in the fleet, but we're definitely the most surprising. His confidence was infectious, and the crew turned to their stations with renewed purpose. Jack, how long to reach Sector 12? Tom asked. 18 hours at maximum safe speed, sir. Make it 15, Tom said. Mike, I know you've been holding back some power in reserve. Time to see what this core can really do. Mike grinned. Yes, sir. I'll give you 15 hours, but I'll need to run some special cooling protocols. Do whatever you need to. Maria, I want you to run combat simulations with every modification we've made. Find new ways to use what we have. Already thinking of a few ideas, Captain, she replied. The Phoenix pushed through space faster than it had ever gone before, the old ship's frame creaking under the strain. But the human reinforcements held, and the modified power core performed flawlessly under Mike's careful management. 15 hours later, they dropped out of FTL at the designated coordinates. The scene that greeted them was organized chaos. Nearly 100 council ships of various sizes had formed a defensive line, facing a distant cluster of dark, angular vessels, the Drachmer fleet. We're being hailed, Wren announced. It's the command ship. Admiral Korv's face appeared on screen. His ridged features showed surprise when he saw the human captain. Earth Vessel Phoenix, he said. I was not expecting your type of ship in this response fleet. We received the same call as everyone else. Admiral, Tom replied respectfully. The Phoenix is reporting for duty. The Admiral seemed to struggle with this for a moment, then nodded curtly. Very well. Take position in the tertiary response group. Section D. Those are support vessels and medical ships. You'll be safely behind the main battle line. Tom frowned. With respect, Admiral, we've proven effective in combat situations. Against pirates, Captain Miller. This is a military engagement against a technologically superior enemy. Your creative modifications will not be relevant here. Take your assigned position. Korv out. As the transmission ended, Tom turned to his crew. They looked disappointed but not surprised. Well, Maria said, at least we'll have a good view of the battle. Tom sat in his chair, thinking. Then he turned to Wren. Open a channel to all council ships. Sir. Wren looked confused. I don't have authority to broadcast fleet-wide. Then find a way, Tom insisted. This is important. Wren worked at her console for a few moments. I can piggyback on the fleet's tactical update frequency. It's not quite fleet-wide, but most combat vessels will receive it. Do it. When she nodded, Tom spoke clearly and confidently. This is Captain Tom Miller of the Earth ship Phoenix. We've analyzed the Drachmer vessels, and we've detected a potential weakness in their configuration. Request permission to approach and gather more detailed scans. There was a moment of silence. Then Admiral Korv's angry voice came through. Captain Miller, get off this channel immediately. You have no authority to. Admiral. Tom interrupted. With respect, humans have a unique perspective that might help here. The Drachmer ships are arranged in a standard defense pattern, but their energy signatures suggest they're using a synchronized shield system. If that's true, there might be a way to disrupt it. A new voice joined the channel. This is Captain Lorne of the Steadfast. What kind of disruption are you suggesting, human? Before Korv could object again, Tom continued quickly. The synchronized shields will have a resonance frequency. If we can identify it and broadcast a counter frequency, we might be able to create temporary gaps in their defenses. There was a thoughtful silence. Then Captain Lorne spoke again. Admiral, the human's theory is sound. The Drachmer are known for their synchronized systems. Admiral Korv growled in frustration. Fine. Captain Miller, you have 10 minutes to approach and scan. But at the first sign of danger, you will retreat immediately. Is that clear? Perfectly clear, Admiral. Phoenix out. Tom turned to his crew with a determined smile. Jack, take us forward. Slow approach. Wren, prepare all sensors for detailed scans. Maria, be ready with those shield doors. As the Phoenix moved ahead of the Council defense line, Tom leaned forward in his chair. They put us in the back because they think we're just scrap, he said quietly. Time to show them what scrap can do. The mismatched ship moved steadily toward the intimidating Drachmer fleet, looking like a civilian transport that had taken a wrong turn into a military standoff. But inside, the crew of the Phoenix was ready to face their greatest challenge yet, and perhaps change the course of an interstellar war. The Phoenix drifted closer to the Drachmer fleet, looking harmless and insignificant against the backdrop of the imposing enemy warships. These alien vessels were unlike anything the humans had seen before. Sleek, angular, and completely black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Each ship was nearly identical, moving in perfect coordination like parts of a single organism. "Keep us on a lazy approach vector," Tom instructed Jack. "Like we're just a curious transport that doesn't know any better." "They're scanning us, Captain," Wren reported from her station. "Standard identification sweep." "Let them look," Tom replied calmly. "All they'll see is a patched-together ship that isn't worth their attention." The Phoenix continued its casual approach. Behind them, the Council fleet waited in tense formation, many captains questioning the wisdom of letting the human vessel take point. "Captain," Wren said suddenly, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns between the Drachmer ships. They're pulsing in sequence, like they're talking to each other." Tom leaned forward. "Can you isolate the frequency?" Wren's fingers flew over her console. "Working on it. It's complex, not like any communication system I've seen before." "Sir," Maria interrupted from Tactical, "I think they've noticed us. 2 smaller vessels are breaking formation." Tom nodded. "Mike, ready on power core adjustments. Maria, shield doors on standby. But don't deploy yet. We don't want to look threatening." The 2 Drachmer ships moved with graceful precision, approaching the Phoenix from both sides. "They're charging weapons," Maria warned, tension in her voice. "Hold steady," Tom ordered. "Wren, what do you have?" "I've isolated the pattern," she replied excitedly. "It's not just communication, it's their shield synchronization. Each ship is generating only part of a larger shield bubble. Together, they create an overlapping defense that's much stronger than individual shields." "Exactly what we suspected," Tom said. "Can we disrupt it?" "Maybe," Wren said, her hands still working. "If we broadcast a counter-frequency." She was cut off as the 2 Drachmer ships fired, their weapons sending bright purple energy beams toward the Phoenix. "Shield doors, now," Tom ordered. Maria activated their makeshift defense system, but even with the modified doors in place, the impact rocked the ship violently. "Damage to sections 3 and 5, Mike reported. "Door shields held, but they're already overheating. We can't take many more hits like that." Tom made a quick decision. "Time to show our hand. Jack, evasive maneuvers, the garbage chute special." Jack grinned and input a series of commands. The Phoenix suddenly began tumbling in a seemingly uncontrolled spin, venting atmosphere in carefully timed bursts that sent it careening between the 2 Drachmer vessels. The enemy ships tried to track them, but the erratic movement pattern, one that would make any proper military pilot sick, confused their targeting systems. "Wren, broadcast that counter-frequency now, full power," Tom called out over the noise of straining metal. "Broadcasting on all channels." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like ripples spreading across water, visible disruptions appeared across the energy fields connecting the Drachmer ships. "It's working," Wren exclaimed. "Their shield synchronization is faltering." Tom hit the ship-wide comm. "All hands, brace for impact." Then to Jack, "Take us straight through their line, between those 2 cruisers." The Phoenix stopped its wild tumbling and shot forward, aiming for a gap in the Drachmer formation, where the shield disruption was strongest. "Sir, if their shields come back online while we're passing through," Maria warned. "They won't," Tom said with confidence he didn't entirely feel. "Mike, divert all power to engines and Wren's broadcast. Maria, be ready with everything we've got once we're through." The Phoenix accelerated, its mismatched hull creaking under the strain. The gap between the Drachmer ships loomed ahead, a space that would normally be protected by their synchronized shields. Counter frequency still holding, Wren reported. Shield disruption at 67%. Draknor vessels trying to adjust, Maria added. They're firing again. Energy beams lanced out from multiple ships, but the Phoenix was moving too quickly now, and the disrupted coordination between Draknor vessels made their shots uncharacteristically inaccurate. 5 seconds to gap, Jack called out. 4, 3, 2, 1. The Phoenix shot through the opening in the Draknor line, emerging on the other side of their formation. For a split second, there was silence on the bridge as everyone realized they'd made it through. "We did it," Jack shouted. "Not yet," Tom said, his eyes fixed on the view screen. "Wren, open a channel to the Council fleet. Maria, deploy all mining lasers and prepare the cargo magnetizers." "Channel open," Wren confirmed. "Admiral Corv, this is the Phoenix," Tom announced. "We've successfully disrupted the Draknor shield synchronization. Their rear is exposed. Attack now." Without waiting for a response, Tom turned to Maria. "Target their command ship. Full power to all our non-weapons." The Draknor were scrambling to reform their perfectly coordinated defense, but the disruption had thrown their systems into disarray. The Phoenix fired its modified mining lasers at the largest enemy vessel, the concentrated beams cutting through the now unprotected hull. At the same time, the Council fleet responded to Tom's call, dozens of warships charging forward to exploit the weakness the humans had created. "It's working," Maria said in wonder. "The Council ships are breaking through." The battle transformed in minutes. Without their synchronized shields, the Draknor lost their greatest advantage. Their perfect formation dissolved into chaos as they tried to defend against attacks from both the Phoenix at their rear and the Council fleet at their front. "Draknor vessels are powering up their engines," Wren reported. "They're preparing to retreat." "Not all of them," Maria warned. 3 ships on intercept course with us." Tom nodded calmly. "They've figured out we're the source of the disruption. Mike, how much more can you give the broadcast?" "We're already redlining, Captain," Mike replied, his hands dancing across his controls. "Core temperature rising dangerously." "Push it further," Tom ordered. "Wren, modulate the frequency. Make it harder for them to adapt." "Jack, evasive pattern delta." The Phoenix spun away from the approaching Draknor ships, still broadcasting the shield-disrupting signal at maximum power. The 3 enemy vessels pursued, firing repeatedly. "Hull breach in Section 8. Mike called out. "Sealing now." "Shield doors failing on starboard side," Maria added. The situation was growing desperate when Admiral Corv's voice came through the comm. "Earth vessel Phoenix, break off your attack. Council reinforcements incoming." True to his word, 5 Council warships appeared, placing themselves between the Phoenix and the pursuing Draknor vessels. "This is your chance to withdraw, Captain Miller," Corv said, his tone still stern but with a new note of respect. "You've done enough." Tom looked at his crew, exhausted, some bleeding from minor injuries, but all still at their posts. "Thank you, Admiral." Phoenix withdrawing. He turned to Jack. "Get us to a safe distance." As they pulled away, the view screen showed the Draknor fleet in full retreat, with Council ships in pursuit. What had seemed like an unwinnable battle just hours ago had turned in their favor. In the aftermath, as emergency repairs were underway, Admiral Corv himself came aboard the Phoenix. He walked through the ship with obvious curiosity, studying the jury-rigged systems and makeshift modifications. "I must admit, Captain Miller," he said finally, "when I first saw this vessel, I thought it was an insult to include it in a military operation." Tom smiled slightly. "Many have underestimated us, Admiral." "A mistake I won't make again," Corv replied. "The Council will receive my full report on how your unconventional tactics turned the tide of this battle." After the Admiral left, Tom gathered his crew in the garden. The plants had been damaged in the fight, but like everything else on the Phoenix, they were already being repaired and would grow back stronger. "Today we proved something important. Tom told his weary but proud crew. Not just to the Council or the Drachner, but to ourselves. He touched a damaged panel, feeling the worn metal beneath his fingers. They gave us scrap, he said softly, and told us it was all we deserved. But we didn't just make it work. We made it extraordinary. We made it human. Maria raised an improvised cup of Mike's engine room brew. To the Phoenix, she said, the most dangerous scrap heap in the galaxy. To the Phoenix, they all echoed, their voices filling the garden. As their celebration continued, news was already spreading throughout Council space. Tales of the odd human ship that looked like junk, but fought like nothing ever seen before. A ship that had faced the mighty Drachner and emerged victorious. They had been given scrap. They had built a legend. And the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Tom Marcus stood on the bridge of the UES Nemesis, staring at the stars through the main view screen. His weathered face showed the deep lines of a man who had seen too much death. 3 months ago, the aliens had attacked Earth's outer colonies without warning. 2 billion people died in a single day. Status report, Marcus said, his voice calm despite the weight on his shoulders. Lieutenant Jack Reed looked up from his control panel. All systems ready. Admiral, the quantum drive is stable. Weapons are charged. Marcus nodded. The Nemesis was humanity's last hope. A warship built in secret using technology the aliens never expected humans to understand, let alone improve upon. Its sleek, black hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. Even now, hovering just beyond Earth's moon, it was nearly invisible to normal sensors. Show me the enemy fleet, Marcus ordered. The main screen changed to display 5 massive alien warships approaching Earth. Each one was at least 3 times larger than the Nemesis. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic blue sheen that seemed to ripple like water. These were the pride of the Stellar Coalition, an alliance of 7 advanced alien species who had decided that humanity was too dangerous to allow into the galactic community. Reed's fingers moved across his control panel. Coalition dreadnoughts moving into attack formation. Their weapons are hot. Their shields are at maximum. Those shields had proven impenetrable to Earth's conventional weapons. During the first attack, hundreds of missiles and energy beams had bounced harmlessly off them. The aliens had laughed as they destroyed Earth's defenses one by one. Open communication channel, Marcus said. The screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. Admiral Dorn of the Coalition forces had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his gray, leathery face. His mouth was a thin line that barely moved when he spoke. Human, Dorn said, his voice translated by the ship's computer. Your species has been judged and found wanting. You are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. Surrender now, and we will spare your homeworld. Resist, and we will turn Earth into a memory. Marcus met the alien's 4-eyed gaze without flinching. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. You responded by killing billions of innocent people. A necessary precaution, Dorn replied coldly. Your kind spreads like a disease. Better to cut out the infection before it spreads. You made one mistake, Marcus said. You didn't kill all of us. He signaled Reed to cut the communication. The alien's face disappeared from the screen. Commander Anna Wilson, the ship's chief engineer, approached Marcus. Her hands were stained with engine grease, and dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. The Void Protocol is ready, she said quietly. But sir, we've never tested it at full power. The simulations show a 90% chance of success. But if something goes wrong, we're no worse off than we already are, Marcus replied. They're going to kill us all anyway. Wilson nodded grimly and returned to her station. Marcus addressed the bridge crew. What we do today will be remembered for as long as humans exist. The Coalition thinks they know what humans are capable of. They think they've seen our best weapons, our best tactics. He paused, looking at each crew member in turn. They're wrong. Reed's console beeped urgently. Coalition ships are launching fighters. hundreds of them. The view screen showed small craft pouring out of the larger ships like angry insects from a disturbed nest. Each fighter was armed with weapons that could level a city. "Good," Marcus said. "Let them commit their forces." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. This wasn't the reaction they expected from their admiral. "Sir," Reed questioned. "The more they commit, the more they'll lose," Marcus explained, "and the message will be that much clearer." He turned to Wilson. "Begin the Void Protocol." Wilson took a deep breath and pressed a sequence of commands into her panel. Deep within the Nemesis, something impossible began to happen. The revolutionary quantum drive, built from technology stolen from a crashed alien scout ship and improved upon by Earth's most brilliant minds, started to bend reality itself. The lights on the bridge dimmed for a moment, then returned to normal. A low hum filled the ship, felt more than heard, vibrating through the deck plates and up through the crew's boots. "Displacement field active," Wilson reported, her voice tight with tension. Reality anchor holding steady. On the view screen, the approaching alien fighters suddenly seemed confused. They slowed, then started to circle, clearly unable to locate the Nemesis. "They can't see us," Reed said with wonder in his voice. "The displacement field is working. We're partially phased out of normal spacetime." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. "Now for the real test. Target the lead dreadnought. Prepare the molecular dissociation beams." The weapons officer, Lieutenant Sam Grant, programmed the targeting sequence. "Target locked, sir." Marcus took a moment to consider what he was about to do. The molecular dissociation beams were unlike any weapon ever used in combat. They didn't explode, burn, or pierce. Instead, they simply convinced matter to stop being matter, to break apart at the molecular level. "Fire," he ordered. Brilliant white beams shot out from the Nemesis, crossing the void of space in an instant. They struck the lead coalition dreadnought and passed straight through its shields, as if they weren't there. On the view screen, the crew watched as the massive alien ship began to come apart, not in explosions or fire, but in a silent, almost beautiful disintegration. The hull simply fell apart into its component molecules, and then those molecules separated further into atoms, creating an expanding cloud of particles where once had been the most powerful warship in the coalition fleet. Admiral Dorn's ship was gone in less than 30 seconds. Stunned silence filled the bridge of the Nemesis. Even though they had helped build this weapon, even though they knew the theory behind it, seeing it work was something else entirely. "Target the next dreadnought," Marcus ordered, his voice steady. 2 more coalition ships suffered the same fate as the first. The remaining 2 began to turn away, accelerating to maximum speed. "They're running," Reed said in disbelief. "Let them go," Marcus replied. "We need witnesses. The galaxy needs to know what happens when you corner humanity." As the coalition survivors fled at maximum speed, they transmitted a single message that would soon echo across the galaxy. Beware the human warship. Beware the Nemesis. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in less than 5 minutes. 3 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy had been reduced to clouds of drifting particles, and humanity on the brink of extinction had just changed the rules of war forever. Marcus looked at his crew, seeing hope in their eyes for the first time in months. "This is just the beginning," he told them. "Today, we showed them that humanity doesn't bow. Tomorrow, we take the fight to them." 2 weeks after the Nemesis destroyed 3 coalition dreadnoughts, Admiral Marcus stood in the war room beneath the ruins of what was once the United Earth Defense Headquarters. The underground chamber was filled with military officers and government officials, all gathered around a large holographic display showing the movements of alien fleets across the galaxy. "They're pulling back," General Kate Brown said, pointing to several flashing dots representing coalition forces, not just from Earth, but from all human colonies. President James Ward, a tall man with silver hair and tired eyes, studied the display. "Are they regrouping for another attack?" "No, sir," Marcus replied. They're running scared. Our intelligence suggests they've abandoned 7 outposts near human space completely. Lieutenant Reed entered the room, carrying a data tablet. He saluted before speaking. "Admiral, we've intercepted communications from across Coalition space. I think you'll want to see this." Reed connected his tablet to the main display. The hologram changed to show recordings from various alien news broadcasts, all showing the same footage, the moment when the Nemesis destroyed the Coalition flagship. The room fell silent as they watched the massive alien warship dissolve into a cloud of particles. "They're calling it the dissolution," Reed explained. "The recording came from one of the Coalition ships that escaped. It's been shared across 17 different alien networks." "Good," Marcus said. "Fear can be a powerful deterrent." President Ward frowned. "Fear can also unite enemies against a common threat. Us." The hologram shifted again, showing a meeting of alien leaders. Various species, some humanoid, others with bodies shaped like nothing on Earth, argued heatedly. "This is from the Galactic Council," Reed said. "They've called an emergency session to discuss the human threat. Some are demanding immediate action, others are advising caution." An alien with blue skin and 4 arms spoke on the recording. "The humans have created a weapon that violates the laws of physics as we understand them. If they can do this to warships, they can do it to planets, to stars. They must be contained before they perfect this technology further." Another alien, this one resembling a large insect, replied. "The Coalition attacked them first, destroyed their colonies, killed billions. What did you expect them to do? Surrender and die quietly?" The recording ended, and President Ward turned to Marcus. "How many ships can we build with this technology?" "That's the problem, sir," Marcus answered. "The Nemesis is one of a kind. We barely understood the alien technology we reverse-engineered to build it. Dr. West and her team needed 3 years to create one working prototype." Commander Wilson stepped forward. "The quantum displacement drive is extremely complex, and the molecular dissociation beams require materials we can barely manufacture. We could build maybe 2 more ships in the next year, but not a fleet. Then we're still vulnerable," Ward concluded. "If they unite against us." An alarm blared, interrupting the president. Red lights flashed throughout the war room. "What's happening?" Ward demanded. A communications officer's voice came over the speaker. "Sir, we've detected a single alien vessel approaching Earth. It's not Coalition design. The ship is broadcasting on all frequencies, requesting permission to approach." "Show me," Marcus ordered. The holographic display changed to show a sleek, silver ship unlike any they had seen before. It was smaller than the Coalition dreadnoughts, with an elegant design that suggested speed rather than power. "It's a Meridian diplomatic vessel," Reed identified after checking his data. "The Meridians have stayed neutral in the conflict so far." "They could be carrying a weapon," General Brown warned. "A suicide attack." Marcus considered for a moment. "Get the Nemesis ready for immediate launch. If this is a trick, we'll respond accordingly." He turned to the communications officer. "Grant them permission to approach, but keep them in orbit. We'll send a shuttle up to meet them." 6 hours later, Marcus sat across from Ambassador Kell of the Meridian Empire in a secure meeting room aboard an orbital platform. The ambassador had a humanoid appearance, though his skin had a silvery sheen, and his eyes were completely black. "Admiral Marcus," Kell began, his voice translated by a small device on his collar, "your demonstration of power has changed everything. The Coalition believed they understood humanity's capabilities. They were wrong, and they have paid for that mistake." "Why are you here, Ambassador?" Marcus asked directly. "To offer an alliance," Kell replied. "The Meridian Empire has always recognized humanity's potential. While the Coalition sought to crush you, we chose to watch and wait. What you have achieved with the Nemesis proves we were right to do so." Marcus leaned forward. "An alliance against the Coalition. Against whatever comes next," Kell said. "The Coalition is fracturing. Some species want revenge. Others want to study your technology. Still others wish to make peace, but all fear what you might do next. We just want to be left alone, Marcus said. Kell's expression became grave. That is no longer possible, Admiral. Your ship has changed the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Every species is now asking the same question. What if humans build more ships like the Nemesis? What if they build thousands? We couldn't if we wanted to, Marcus admitted. The technology is too complex, the materials too rare. The Coalition doesn't know that, Kell pointed out. And fear makes for poor judgment. Already, there are whispers of a preemptive strike against Earth, not by the Coalition alone, but by a temporary alliance of multiple species. They attack us again, they'll suffer the same fate, Marcus warned. Perhaps, Kell acknowledged. But even your remarkable ship cannot fight the combined fleets of a dozen worlds. My government offers not just alliance, but assistance. We have resources you need, manufacturing capabilities. In return, we ask for protection. Marcus was about to respond when Lieutenant Reed rushed into the room. Admiral, urgent news from our long-range scouts. Multiple fleets are gathering at the edge of our solar system. Not just Coalition. At least 5 different species ships have been identified. Ambassador Kell looked unsurprised. It seems the galaxy has made its decision faster than I anticipated. Marcus stood up. How many ships? At least 200, with more arriving, Reed reported. Sir, the Nemesis can't fight that many, even with the displacement technology. Marcus turned back to Kell. How quickly can your empire provide the resources you mentioned? Not quickly enough to build more ships like yours before this fleet arrives, Kell admitted, but perhaps quick enough to enhance the one you have. Marcus nodded grimly. Then we have work to do. The galaxy thinks humanity is more dangerous than we actually are. It seems we need to live up to their expectations. As Marcus left to prepare the Nemesis for what might be its final battle, he knew that humanity's survival would depend not just on the power of their revolutionary warship, but on their ability to make the galaxy believe they had more where that came from. Admiral Marcus stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, watching as the alien fleet grew larger on the view screen. In the 3 days since Ambassador Kell's warning, the number of enemy ships had grown from 200 to over 500. They formed a massive wall of metal at the edge of the solar system, just beyond the orbit of Neptune. Status report, Marcus ordered, his voice betraying none of the fear he felt inside. Lieutenant Reed looked up from his station. 537 ships. Admiral, we've identified vessels from 8 different species. The Coalition makes up about half the fleet. The rest are from the Trell Concordance, the Voss Dominion, and several smaller powers. Commander Wilson entered the bridge, followed by Dr. Jane West and 2 Meridian engineers. Dr. West was the lead scientist who had created the molecular dissociation beams. She was a small woman with short gray hair and intense eyes that missed nothing. The modifications are complete, Wilson reported. The Meridian's power crystals have boosted our energy output by 30%. Dr. West nodded in agreement. The displacement field can now cover a larger area, and the dissociation beams have greater range. But Admiral, even with these improvements, we can't fight that many ships. Marcus knew she was right. The Nemesis was powerful, but not invincible. It could perhaps destroy 20 or 30 enemy vessels before being overwhelmed. We don't need to fight them all, he said. We just need to make them believe we can. He turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to their command ship. The view screen changed to show an alien with scaly red skin and yellow eyes. Admiral Vex of the Trell Concordance looked down at Marcus with obvious contempt. Human, Vex said. Your time has come. Your weapon is impressive, but it cannot save you now. Surrender the Nemesis and all research related to its technology, or we will destroy your planet. Marcus met the alien's gaze calmly. You've gathered quite a fleet, Admiral Vex. Tell me, did you bring them all here to die? Vex's expression didn't change, but Marcus noticed a slight twitch in his eye. Your arrogance is typical of your species. One ship cannot defeat hundreds. You're right, Marcus agreed, surprising the alien admiral. One ship can't defeat hundreds, but what about 10 ships, or 20? He nodded to Reed, who pressed a sequence on his console. The view screen split to show the alien fleet on one side, and what appeared to be empty space on the other. I don't understand, Vex said. Let me help you, Marcus replied. Computer, deactivate stealth systems on Defense Group Alpha. For a moment, nothing happened. Then on the right side of the screen, 10 warships identical to the Nemesis appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. They were arranged in a perfect formation, their black hulls absorbing the light of the distant sun. Vex's yellow eyes widened. Impossible. Our sensors detected nothing. The displacement technology works as a stealth system too, Marcus explained, hiding his smile. And these are just the ships we want you to see. What Vex didn't know, what no one outside a small circle of Earth's leadership knew, was that the other ships were not real. They were holographic projections created by devices the Meridians had helped install around the solar system. The Nemesis was still the only ship of its kind, but the alien fleet didn't know that. Final warning, Marcus said, his voice hard. Leave Earth space now, or face the consequences. The screen went black as Vex cut the communication. Do you think they bought it? Reed asked. We'll find out soon enough, Marcus replied. They didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, the alien fleet began to move, not toward Earth, but away, breaking formation as ships from different species started to retreat in different directions. Sir, Reed reported, excitement in his voice, 30% of the fleet is withdrawing, mostly smaller powers. Wait, the Voss ships are leaving too. Dr. West smiled for the first time in days. The bluff is working. But the celebration was short-lived. On the view screen, the remaining ships, still over 300 strong, began to advance toward Earth. Coalition and Trill ships are moving into attack formation, Reed said, his voice tense again. They're not running. Marcus had expected this. Some would rather fight than look weak. Prepare for battle. He turned to the weapons officer. Target the lead Trill cruiser. Full power to the dissociation beams. The Nemesis moved forward, its displacement drive creating the strange rippling effect that made it look like the ship was passing through different layers of reality. Behind it, the holographic projections of the other 10 ships did the same, mimicking the flagship's movements perfectly. The alien fleet opened fire first. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Nemesis and its phantom companions. Most passed harmlessly through the holographic ships, but several hit the Nemesis itself. Its advanced shields absorbed the impacts, but the ship shuddered under the assault. Return fire, Marcus ordered. The Nemesis fired its dissociation beams. 2 brilliant white beams lanced out, striking the lead Trill cruiser. Just as with the Coalition dreadnoughts weeks earlier, the massive alien ship began to disintegrate, breaking apart at the molecular level. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate. Ships began to change course, trying to avoid the deadly beams, but in their panic, they fell into disarray, some colliding with others. Sir, Reed called out, I'm picking up massive energy readings from the Coalition flagship. They're charging some kind of weapon. Before Marcus could respond, a massive burst of energy erupted from the Coalition flagship. It wasn't aimed at the Nemesis, but at one of the holographic ships. The energy passed through the false image without effect, revealing the deception. They know, Wilson shouted. They figured out the other ships aren't real. The alien fleet regrouped quickly, and this time all their fire focused on the real Nemesis. The ship rocked violently as multiple impacts hammered its shields. Shields at 60% and falling, Reed reported. We can't take much more of this. Marcus gripped the arms of his command chair. The gamble had failed. The Nemesis was powerful, but it couldn't fight hundreds of ships at once. Earth was doomed. Then, just as hope seemed lost, new alerts sounded on the bridge. "Sir," detecting multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Reed exclaimed. "They're Meridian vessels. 50 of them, heavily armed." Ambassador Kell's face appeared on the communication screen. "Admiral Marcus, the Meridian High Council has voted. We stand with Earth. Our fleet is at your disposal." As the Meridian ships engaged the alien armada, Marcus realized that humanity had gained something perhaps more valuable than their revolutionary warship. They had found an ally in a hostile galaxy. The battle for Earth's survival had only just begun. 2 hours into the battle, the space around Earth looked like a deadly light show. Energy beams crossed the darkness in all directions. Explosions bloomed like silent flowers. Disabled ships, both alien and Meridian, drifted through the battlefield. In the middle of it all, the Nemesis moved like a shadow, appearing in one place only to vanish and reappear somewhere else. Its displacement drive gave it an advantage no other ship could match: the ability to partially phase out of normal spacetime, making it nearly impossible to hit. On the bridge, Admiral Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. Despite the ship's advanced cooling systems, the temperature had risen as power was diverted to weapons and defenses. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Reed's fingers danced across his console. "We've destroyed 23 enemy vessels. The Meridians have taken down another 38. But, sir, we're still outnumbered 3-1. Commander Wilson called from her engineering station. "The displacement drive is overheating. We can't keep jumping around like this for much longer." Marcus nodded grimly. The Nemesis was the most advanced warship ever built by human hands, but it had limitations. And right now, those limitations were becoming dangerous. "What about the Meridians?" he asked. "Taking heavy losses," Reed replied. "They've lost 17 ships already." The view screen showed the battle raging around them. The Meridian vessels, sleek, silver ships that moved with surprising speed, were fighting bravely, but they lacked the Nemesis's advanced weapons. They could damage the enemy ships but not destroy them as efficiently. "Sir," Reed said suddenly, "I'm picking up a transmission from Earth. It's President Ward." "Put him through," Marcus ordered. The president's face appeared on a side screen. He looked tired but determined. "Admiral, we've received word from our lunar base. Dr. West has completed her work." Marcus felt a surge of hope. 3 days ago, before the battle began, he had sent Dr. West to the secret research facility on the far side of the moon. Her mission: to find a way to amplify the Nemesis's weapons to affect multiple targets at once. "Can she deliver?" Marcus asked. "She says she can," Ward confirmed. "But there's a catch. The amplifier needs to be at the center of the enemy fleet to work properly, and it will drain all power from the Nemesis for several minutes afterward." Marcus understood what that meant. They would have one shot, and then be completely vulnerable. If it didn't work, Earth would fall. "How soon can she get it to us?" he asked. "She's already on her way," Ward replied. "A small shuttle, coming in from the dark side of the moon. The enemy is focused on your battle. They might not notice her." No sooner had the president finished speaking than the ship rocked violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. "Direct hit," Wilson shouted. "Shields at 20%. The displacement drive is failing," another officer reported. "We can't phase out again for at least 10 minutes." Marcus made his decision. "Pull back to Earth orbit. Have the Meridians cover our retreat." He turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to Dr. West. We'll rendezvous with her behind Earth's satellite defense network." As the Nemesis withdrew from the main battle, the enemy ships sensed weakness and began to pursue. The Meridian vessels moved to intercept, sacrificing themselves to buy time. 30 minutes later, a small shuttle docked with the Nemesis in the shadow of Earth's largest orbital defense platform. Dr. West hurried onto the bridge, carrying a metal case. "This better work, Jane," Marcus said as she arrived. Dr. West opened the case to reveal a strange device that pulsed with blue light. "It will work, Tom. But like the president said, We need to be in the middle of their fleet, and once we activate it, every system on this ship will shut down for approximately 4 minutes while the power transfers to the amplifier. 4 minutes is a lifetime in battle, Marcus said. Yes, Dr. West agreed. But if this works, there won't be much of a battle left. Marcus studied the tactical display. The Meridian fleet was being pushed back. Earth's orbital defenses had joined the fight, but they were designed to handle a few ships at a time, not hundreds. We don't have a choice, he finally said. Engineer Wilson, how soon can we get the displacement drive back online? 7 minutes minimum, Wilson replied. We don't have 7 minutes, Marcus said. We'll have to go in without it. The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what that meant. Without the displacement drive, the Nemesis would be visible and vulnerable, an easy target for the entire enemy fleet. I need a volunteer, Marcus said. Someone to pilot a drone ship straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. The amplifier can be remote activated, but someone needs to get it into position. Before anyone could speak, Dr. West stepped forward. It's my invention. I'll do it. Marcus shook his head. Earth needs your brain, Jane. I need your brain. Sir, Lieutenant Reed interrupted. I've plotted a course. If we use the moon's gravity to slingshot around, we can build up enough speed to reach the center of their formation before they can react. But the Nemesis would be too obvious. They'd shoot us down immediately. What are you suggesting? Marcus asked. Reed stood up straight. Give me a shuttle. I'll carry the amplifier. They won't waste time on a single shuttle when they have the Nemesis to worry about. Marcus looked at his young lieutenant. Reed was barely 30, with his whole life ahead of him. It's a one-way trip, Jack. You know that, right? Reed nodded. For Earth, sir. For all of us. 1 hour later, the battle entered its final phase. The Nemesis emerged from behind Earth's moon, all weapons firing, drawing the attention of the entire enemy fleet. At the same time, a small shuttle piloted by Lieutenant Reed accelerated toward the center of the alien armada. As expected, the enemy focused their fire on the Nemesis. The human warship took hit after hit, its shields failing under the barrage. Shuttle status, Marcus asked, gripping his chair as the ship shook around him. Almost in position. The tracking officer reported. Enemy ships are beginning to notice it. They're firing. The shuttle is hit but still moving. On a small screen, Marcus watched as Reed's shuttle, now trailing fire and debris, continued on its course, diving deeper into the enemy formation. Reed to Nemesis, came the lieutenant's voice over the comm. I'm in position. Activating amplifier in 3, 2, 1. A brilliant blue-white light erupted at the center of the alien fleet. It expanded outward in a perfect sphere, engulfing ship after ship. Where it touched, alien vessels began to break apart, not violently, but gently, dissolving into their component molecules just as the coalition dreadnoughts had when struck by the Nemesis beams. The amplifier had worked. It had turned the molecular dissociation effect into an expanding wave that affected everything in its path. As the wave continued to spread, the remaining alien ships began to flee in panic, accelerating away from the deadly sphere of dissolution. The Grand Alliance that had come to destroy Earth was breaking apart before their eyes. He did it, Dr. West whispered. Reed did it. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Admiral Marcus watched the enemy retreat. The amplifier had affected nearly 200 enemy vessels before its energy was spent. Combined with those destroyed earlier in the battle, more than half the alien fleet was gone. The rest were running. Send a message to all ships, Marcus ordered. Earth is under the protection of the Nemesis and its sisters. Any further aggression will be met with total dissolution. It was a bluff. They had no sister ships. But after what the aliens had just witnessed, none would dare call it. As the last enemy ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, Marcus stood silent, thinking of Lieutenant Reed and his sacrifice. One human life had turned the tide of the battle. One human had saved billions. That, Marcus thought, was humanity's true strength. Not the advanced technology, not the deadly weapons, but the will to stand against impossible odds, and the courage to sacrifice everything for others. The galaxy had tried to exterminate humanity and failed. Now they would have to learn to live with humans as equals or face the consequences. 3 months after the battle that became known as the Great Dissolution, Admiral Marcus stood at the window of the newly built Earth Defense Headquarters, looking out at the rebuilt skyline of New Geneva. The city had been constructed in record time, a symbol of humanity's resilience and determination to rebuild. Behind him, representatives from 12 different alien species sat around a large circular table. They had come to Earth not as conquerors, but as diplomats seeking peace. The Nemesis had changed everything. "Admiral," President Ward called, gesturing to an empty seat at the table. "We're ready to begin." Marcus took his place next to Dr. West. In the months since Lieutenant Reed's sacrifice, she had become a hero to humanity, the scientist who had created the weapons that saved Earth. But Marcus knew the toll it had taken on her. She had lost a friend and colleague in Reed. "The Council of Worlds welcomes Earth's representatives," announced Grand Arbiter Tull of the Meridian Empire, who had been chosen to lead the proceedings. "Today, we formalize the peace between humanity and the galactic community." Ambassador Kell, now Earth's strongest ally, nodded in approval. Next to him sat representatives from species that had tried to destroy Earth just months ago. The contrast was not lost on Marcus. "Before we sign the peace accords," an alien from the Trell Concordance spoke up, "we must address the key issue: the weapon technology aboard the Nemesis and its sister ships." Marcus exchanged a glance with President Ward. The bluff about having multiple ships like the Nemesis had held for 3 months. None of the alien species knew that the Nemesis was still the only one of its kind, though Earth scientists were working day and night to build more. "What about it?" Marcus asked calmly. "Such power cannot be controlled by one species alone," the Trell representative continued. "We propose that all displacement and molecular dissociation technology be surrendered to a neutral council for safekeeping." Murmurs of agreement came from several of the alien delegates. President Ward leaned forward. "The technology that saved Earth from extinction. You want us to give it up after you tried to destroy us. It is precisely because of what this technology can do that we make this request," said a coalition representative. "Think of what would happen if every species had such weapons. Galaxy-wide destruction would be inevitable." Marcus had expected this demand. The alien species feared human technology because they couldn't match it, but he had come prepared with a counteroffer. "No," he said simply. The room fell silent. "Admiral Marcus," Grand Arbiter Tull said carefully, "perhaps you didn't understand the gravity." "I understand perfectly," Marcus interrupted. "You fear what you don't understand. You fear what you can't control. But this technology saved humanity when you tried to wipe us out. We will not surrender it." The coalition representative stood up angrily. "Then these peace talks are over. We cannot allow one species to hold such power over all others." "Please, sit down," Dr. West said quietly. All eyes turned to her. Despite her small frame and soft voice, she commanded attention. "You've misunderstood our position." She activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed technical schematics for the displacement drive and molecular dissociation beams, but with key components missing. "We won't surrender the technology," she continued, "but we will share some of it." The alien representatives stared at the display in shock. Marcus smiled slightly. This had been the plan all along, not to hoard the technology, but to use it as a bridge. "These are partial schematics," Dr. West explained. "Enough for your scientists to understand the basic principles, but not enough to build weapons like those on the Nemesis. We propose a joint research initiative with representatives from all species working together to develop peaceful applications of this technology." "Peaceful applications?" the Trell representative asked skeptically. "The displacement drive could revolutionize space travel." Dr. West explained. The molecular manipulation technology could help build structures in space, clean up toxic environments, even cure diseases. Marcus stood up. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to survive in it. But we won't do that by making ourselves vulnerable again. He walked to the center of the room. Here's our proposal. Earth will share partial technology with all peaceful species. We will establish joint research centers where scientists from all worlds can work together. The Nemesis and its sister ships will remain under Earth's control, but they will patrol trade routes and protect all peaceful worlds, not just our own. The room buzzed with conversation as the alien delegates considered the offer. Ambassador Kell was the first to speak. The Meridian Empire accepts these terms. One by one, other representatives voiced their agreement. Even the Coalition and Trell delegates reluctantly nodded their approval. They had little choice. The alternative was to leave empty-handed and potentially face the Nemesis again. Grand Arbiter Tull stood and raised his 4 hands for silence. Then it is decided. Earth joins the galactic community not as a subject race, but as an equal partner. The peace accords will be modified to reflect these new terms. As the meeting concluded and the alien representatives filed out, President Ward turned to Marcus and Dr. West. You planned this all along, didn't you? Marcus nodded. Humanity needed leverage. Now we have it. What about the sister ships? Dr. West asked quietly. The ones that don't exist. Yet, Marcus corrected her with a small smile. They don't exist yet, but they will. Later that evening, Marcus stood alone on the observation deck of the orbital station, where the Nemesis was docked for repairs. The massive warship, scared from battle but still imposing, filled the viewport. He thought about Lieutenant Reed, whose sacrifice had made this peace possible. About the billions of humans who had died in the colonies before the Nemesis could protect them. About the future that now stretched before humanity, no longer isolated on Earth, but part of a vast galactic community. The door behind him opened, and Dr. West joined him at the viewport. Do you think it will last? She asked. The peace. Marcus considered the question. Peace built on fear never lasts, he said, but peace built on mutual respect and shared knowledge, that has a chance. Is that why you agreed to share the technology? Partly, Marcus admitted, but also because Reed didn't sacrifice himself so we could become the very thing we fought against. He died so humanity could live, not just survive, but truly live as part of something greater. Dr. West nodded, understanding. The Nemesis was built to protect humanity from extinction. Now it will protect our place in the stars. As they stood watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon, a message came through on Marcus's communicator. The first joint research team, human and alien scientists working together, had made a breakthrough. They had found a way to use the displacement technology to travel faster than ever before, opening up distant parts of the galaxy that had been unreachable. It was just the beginning. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. Their warship had been so deadly that the galaxy's first response was to run. But their ideas, their willingness to share and build together, might just be powerful enough to make the galaxy stay. And that, Marcus thought, was the greatest victory of all.